Hello and welcome to today's episode of how to make quick configuration with our wireless networks. You may be having problem connecting to a known network, even networks that you have been connecting to your own wireless device or a router somewhere or your phone's hotspot. You find out that today is just your system is just unable to connect to it for one reason or the other. You don't know. So if you watch this video carefully with some steps that we'll be putting ourselves through, you should be able to solve that issue. It's something that you can do, even though there's an advanced stage that you really need to be very careful and know what you're doing. But some few simple steps should be able to take care of that issue for us. But first thing first, we need to see or know what we are dealing with here. In most cases, your devices are just not turned on. Even though you think they are on, it's just not turned on. You may be seeing a wireless network on your laptop. It is because your system has connected to that wireless before. It's still listing it there, but the device, the network at that moment is not turned on. So you may want to look at your router or your mobile hotspot or whatever you're connecting to and try to, if it's not powered on, make sure it is on. And that is for the wireless side of things. But your system too also has a switch controlling the Wi-Fi on your laptop itself. So this Wi-Fi here, you want to make sure it is on. Now there are several ways of doing that. There's a manual way. In some laptops rather, you have a switch that controls these wireless cards. Actually, it's a card on your laptop. There's a switch. I'm trying to draw us what wireless icon looks like. So you may want to look out for that on your keyboard or on your system. There's maybe a switch that's controlling. Usually, there's a switch controlling the wireless network. So that switch may be off, and you are trying to connect to it. If it's off, there's no way your system would. So wireless icon looks something similar to this. Forgive my drawing. You always see something like this either on your keyboard or a switch on the laptop. You always see something like this. It's always there. It controls the wireless card. Sorry, let me draw this again. It controls the wireless card on your laptop. So this is what sorry about the drawing. This is what a wireless icon looks like. So you watch out for it on your keyboard, you press it. Usually when you do that, you may see a light, maybe blue, white or yellow. It usually shows you that your wireless is turned on. Usually blue on HP laptops. So you always see that icon on the keyboard. Sometimes you may need to press the FN key on your keyboard before you press that key. Sometimes it's a button on its own on the laptop. So you just press it and you are good to go. Well, if the card is not on, if your wireless card is not on, usually you should not be seeing available networks. Now the situation is if you are seeing networks like I am now, and you're trying to connect to it, it is not connecting. So that means you have passed this stage of switching devices on. That means both devices are on, but you're unable to connect to them. The next thing you can try is to restart both systems, the wireless card, your devices. The wireless network and your device. If you are using a router, for instance, SpectraNet or MTN Wi-Fi or something like that, try putting it off and switch it on again. Your system too, you can try that for your system. You may be surprised. In most cases, restarting devices usually solve problems. Sometimes it solves our problems, but well, if the two does not solve your problem, if you restart your system and you restart the router or your hotspot on your phone, put it off and put it back on. You switch off your system and you put it back on. You're trying to connect to it, it's not connecting again. Then you might need to go to advanced that's the number 3 steps here. This advanced configuration that you need to do to your systems in order to get them working. Now, for you to do this number 3, you certainly need another system that is working. If you are trying to connect to a Wi-Fi device, say SpectraNet or your mobile router, you certainly would need another system that is working and can connect to that network to make that configuration I want to show you. So therefore, on a working system, try to connect to your Wi-Fi, to your network. If it connects to it, and then you need to go to the router's DNS. Usually you see it on at the back of your router, but if you're not seeing it, it's, yeah, I don't know if you see this one. Usually, anyway, it is 192.168.8.1. It's like a website allowing you to go in there and make configuration to your router. 192.168.8.1. that is your wireless DNS. It is where you don't need the www dot whatever. 192.168.8.1. If you type this web address to your browser, this is where you manage the settings on your router. So definitely you need to be able to connect to the router before you make these changes. Otherwise, if your system is unable to connect to it in the first place, you can't get to this page. So most of the time it is usually admin. You can change these things at the inside the login page, but you need to go to this address. Remember, this you are doing is advanced. If you restart your system, it's not working, and you powered on all the devices and they are still not communicating, then you need to come to this we call it DNS. This is where you make settings or adjustment to your individual router. So when you log in like this on most of those routers, they'll bring you to usually the home page where you see basic information. Like this one is the internet information. Basically, you see the status. Yeah, now this one is listing the internet mode, network status, and so on and so forth. This is just status of what you're looking at. For settings in the web page, this is a web page actually, but it's a place where you make settings or adjustment to your router, individual routers. On that settings, then you can see where you can make some major configurations. For instance, here we can change this username that we log in with, that admin, and password. You can change it here so that somebody else may not be able to connect to it, and the configuration. So for the sake of our issue of not being able to connect, you may want to click on anything that says wireless. Under settings, you are in the settings page, then you want to look for wireless settings, because that is the problem you're having. You're unable to connect to it. Now what you are looking for, see, now here is where you can make changes to the name. That's this long name, you can change it to whatever else you want. My device, you can change the password. This one is the factory password. Here you can change your password to whatever you want, and then but majorly this is where I'm going for this demonstration. You see, the mode, I think mostly this is where the problem comes in. The mode by which your router is transmitting information may not be the same with your system's mode. But we have 3 modes, like I listed there: B, G, and N. So if your system is on B and your router is showing N, then there will be miscommunication. That means they are not seeing each other. But an advanced system or a modern system should be able to see any of these networks. So the wireless card in your system should be reading BGN. That means any of this mode, your system should be able to capture and connect to it. So, but then if you are having this problem, you are not able to connect, you can test either of these modes to see if you are able to connect to it, because if you are not, one of these should work. And then make sure everything else is on auto. You don't want to tamper with anything else here. But then if you try this, hopefully it will work. But if you try this, after making changes, please click on apply. If that does not solve the issue, well, this last one is advanced, is an advanced strategy to checkmate this problem. I said you need to probably update the wireless card drivers on your system. Yeah, by the word drivers, I'm sure it may sound confusing already, but drivers are, your laptop as it is, we have different components that work with it. Your keyboard is a component, your mouse, your mouse pad, the screen, your camera, even the charger. All of these things are called components. Before you use them, there is something we call drivers. It's just a piece of software that enables this computer system communicate with each of those components. If you are not able to connect, or your wireless card is not working properly, that means there is a problem with the driver. Either the driver is missing completely, usually by virus, or it is misconfigured, or needs updating. One way or the other, you need another driver. You need an updated driver, for that particular component. The component this time is your wireless card. So the driver that enables your system to communicate with that card is probably missing or misconfigured. So the only way to do that is to get another driver or updated driver for that particular component of your system. So usually the best way to get a driver is to download directly from your system manufacturer. So but before you download drivers, you need to know your system make and model. Type run on your system. You should bring out this run snap for you, then input this code msinfo32, or just simply look at the back of your system, the front of it or the back of it. The system make and model should be written. If it's not, then you want to click on run on your system. Just go to the start button and type run. It should bring up this run command for you. Then type in msinfo32, click on OK, and to display the property, the entire property or the complete property of your system. You are looking for the system model here. So my system I'm working on right now is Latitude 3340. You need that to be able to download the specific driver for your system. The manufacturer is Dell. If you are using any system, just type that run msinfo32. It will always bring this system information for you. So those two information are essential for you to be able to download necessary drivers for your system, Latitude 3340. So you want to go to your browser and just type into this Google something Dell Latitude. I've downloaded a driver from my system today, so that's why it's listing it here. Then press enter. Usually the first result here is what you are looking for. If it's not an advert, if it's an advert, please don't click on it. And then you see that it is actually a Dell.com. That is a genuine website. It's not others that are advertising like this Drivescape, Drive Dell, anything like that. It may just be advertising for you. This DRP is also important, but then like I said, make sure you are okay. Let's test, for instance, we are not looking for Dell but HP, MV, X360, and put drivers at the end of it. You may want to put for Windows 7, Windows 10. Now, so you click on it and wait for it to load. You just need to put some instructions or settings for it to be able to download the necessary. So it is usually to take you to your vendor's website where they have provided you with appropriate drivers for your system. It mostly will show you the picture of the the laptop or the system rather, and then down there you will see the list of drivers for the version of system you are working on. 964, but this is not my system. I'm using a Dell system, just using this as a demonstration to show you where you can get drivers. Now you know what drivers means. This, for instance, are components for your system. You have the graphics controller, you have audio, keyboard, mouse, network. Network is where we're going. If this was my system, now I'm looking for Intel wireless LAN driver, which is what you are working on, which is what you are looking for. Then all you have to do is go ahead and download. If you download, then please try to install. Restart your system, and that should solve the problem. Here, if you are also having issues with any other components of your system, like your keyboard is not working or graphics is not displaying, and so on and so forth, just make sure you download the appropriate drivers for that particular component. You installation is usually next, and then you restart. By then your system should be working really fine. So depending on your system, the kind of make and model, you need to go to the website, the appropriate website, and download the appropriate drivers for your system. Now this is Dell's system, website. You can see the image of the laptop that I'm working on, and then I will click on find drivers myself. So you just need to input some basic information for you to get the exact drivers that you are working on. Here is Windows 10 32-bit, and so I click on the appropriate one. I'm using Windows 10 64-bit. Here I have a choice of looking for specifying what drivers I'm looking for. Here I'm looking for network, and down there it has listed particular drivers for me. There wireless, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. So you look for anything that says wireless, because that is the origin of our problem today. So look for anything that says wireless and click on download. If you download, it's a setup file. I'm not going to download any of this because I'm always careful about data. So you download, and then you will install it as a, it's always something like this, and then you click on download, and then you install. By that time, I want to believe your system should be able to communicate with the wireless device that you are having. If that don't work, therefore I will suggest strongly that you are having problem with your wireless card, and the only way to do that, solve that, is to replace the card inside the system. I'm sure if you are watching this, you should be unable to do that by yourself. Otherwise, you may tamper other components of your system and possibly render the system useless or invalid. So guys, I think I want to believe that if you follow this procedure very well, to quickly recap what you've done, you're having issue with wireless connections, your system is not connecting to wireless devices. Make sure those devices are turned on, including your wireless card on your laptop. Again, you need to look for something that looks like this. Again, sorry for this bad drawing. You need to look for something that looks like this on your keyboard or your system. Usually you press it, some lights should turn on to notify you or indicate that the card is on, and then by that time you should be able to see available networks for on your system. Then if you are not able to connect to it, try restarting the systems, both the router and your systems. At that point, it should be able to configure itself and communicate appropriately. If not, then try to go into your device's DNS page. That means you need another system to do that. Both of these 3 and 4, you need another working device that is able to connect to that network in order to download or configure the device. So you want to go to this address and make some configuration to it. You log in, and then you go to settings and make the appropriate settings for your system. Usually changes between B, G and N, they should work for your system. You should be able to connect at that point when you restart the modem. Actually, when you apply, your device would automatically reboot itself. And then the last one is to download the card drivers for your device. If any of that didn't work, I'm sure your card is having problem, and then you need to consult a certified person to do that for you. So thank you guys. I hope this video solve your problem. If you enjoyed it, or if it assists you one way or the other, please do not hesitate to give it a thumbs up. Otherwise, you can also give it a thumbs down, so that we'll try to improve on our video. And please do not forget to subscribe and turn on the notification in the description there, so that you get notified when new videos comes up and you can benefit.